Hello everyone, it's Becca from Becca Books and Bujo. Today I am excited to read a bunch of romantasy books. Ever since Fourth Wing took the world by storm, and I read it, I have been wanting to read romantasy. I see all of the famous booktube girlies loving romantasy, and I think it is a good way for me to try out fantasy. High fantasy is a little bit too much for me. I'm not great at world building or all of that stuff that comes with fantasy, but I love romance. And so I think that romantasy is a great way for me to dive into the fantasy genre. So I have some books on my shelves that I have been acquiring over the last few months that I would consider romantasy. The first is, of course, the second in the, what is this even called? The Fourth Wing. It's not a trilogy, it's going to be a series, but this is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I will hopefully get to this one in this video. This is my most recent acquisition. This is Serpent, The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, but I think that this one involves vampires and romance and fantasy. This was a book of the month selection for me, A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I had no clue that Danielle L. Jensen was an author before this book. She has written a couple of fantasy series, I believe, but I'm excited to try this one, especially because it is Norse inspired, and I am of Swedish and Norwegian heritage, so I think I could enjoy this one a lot, but I've also heard it's pretty steamy. And then I also have Divine Rivals, which I believe won the YA fantasy category for Goodreads last year. So I am hoping that I can just love my time reading some romantasy books in the next few days, weeks, however long this takes me. I am just getting to part 2 in Divine Rivals, which is exactly 100 pages in. Isn't that satisfying when things are right on a number like that? Anyway, I'm enjoying it so far. We are following our two main characters, Iris and Roman. They both work at a newspaper company. What's that called? They both work at a newspaper, and they are rivals because they are both vying for a columnist position. And I think the boss is being really rude and taking advantage of them by saying, like, if you write a super good article on this, there's a better chance you could be the columnist. And so he's just using them to try to get articles, but then they are wanting to obviously do well because they want to become the columnist. So they are rivals at work, but then when they're at home, Iris has found that she can type letters on her grandmother's typewriter, slip them under her wardrobe door, and someone writes back. She doesn't know who is writing her back, but Roman knows that it's Iris who is writing her, and so Roman writes back. And they have this correspondence through these magical letters. Roman knows that it's Iris. Iris has no clue who she's writing. And they are, you know, having a little bit of banter, I would say. There's also this war going on, and now at the end of part 1... Hello? At the end of part 1, Iris has decided that writing for a newspaper... Hello? Iris has decided that writing for a newspaper just isn't cutting it. She is going to go to the battlegrounds and write there. So she quit the newspaper and she said goodbye to her mystery correspondent. So that's where we're at. I'm enjoying it. I'm liking the audiobook. I'm listening to it, and that has been a good experience. Goofy kids. Anyway, excited to keep going with this, and I'll check in another 100 pages or so. Sorry for the crazy poofy hair, but I am 2/3 into Divine Rivals. Well, I'm at part 2, which is like 215 pages in. It's here. Almost 2/3. And I'm still enjoying it. It feels a little slow to me. So at the end of the first part, Iris was about to go to the warfront to write. And in the second part, she realized that she could still write to Carver. I don't know if it had been established if she knew what his name was yet. She still doesn't know that it's actually Roman, but she knows that his name is Carver, which is the C for Roman C, whatever his last name is, but it's his middle initial, and she always makes up some funny name, like Conceited or Cantankerous or something like that, but it's actually Carver, but she doesn't know that. And they're still able to communicate because it's not the wardrobe that was magical, it was the typewriter. They both have the same Alouette typewriter, and they can communicate that way. It's magical typewriters that are connected. It's kind of cool. They're still communicating while she is on the war front and he is in Oath. Something happens where he decides he would like to go to the war front, and now at the end of part 2 they are both in the war front, at the war front, communicating. He is trying to reveal who he is to her, but it's not becoming clear for some reason. I don't get how she can't see it, but I think he's going to reveal it with a use of language, because he asks her in real life, in talking, what a synonym she would use for, I can't remember the word, but she gives him the option divine, and so I think he's going to type that into a letter to her, saying that they're divine rivals or whatever, and then she'll have that aha moment. But right as she's about to read the letter from him that will reveal it, they both get called to like the front lines, and they're going to report there. So that's where we're at with the end of part 2. It feels slow, like I said. I'm enjoying it. I like the writing, but I just wish we'd kind of get to the point. I know it's a duology, and so I feel like we might get kind of a cutoff point in the first book and then need to jump into the second to actually complete the story. But I just want Iris to figure out who Roman is so that some romance can actually happen, because she hasn't admitted to her friend Addie that she's having some feelings for him, and she's signing her letters of love. So yeah, I want that to start happening, which I assume it probably will in part 3 now that they're going to the front lines together. So I'll check in probably at the end. You know how I said I wanted things to start picking up a little bit, pick up the pace with the romance? Well, the beginning of part 3 did not disappoint. Iris has to sit on Roman's lap on the way to the front lines. I've only ever seen the sitting on the lap trope happen once, and that was in Allie Hazelwood, and the fact that he needs to grab her hips and keep her steady. It's happening, folks. It's happening. Also, he's laying it on thick. Like, he is dropping hints, and Iris is oblivious. But I'm a little bit farther now, after just the beginning of part 3, and things are happening, and I'm very, very excited about it. I'm at a point where I do not want to stop. So the next clip you see will probably be me either raving about the book or telling you that I enjoyed it. So I just finished Divine Rivals, and I'm torn on my thoughts because I enjoyed it. I liked listening to it, but it wasn't spectacular by any means. I felt like it was slow. One thing I've noticed, especially in YA romances, is it's just not enough steam for me. Not that a romance needs to have steam, but it's like they try to do steam and it's just not, like, I don't know. I felt it definitely with Check and Mate by Allie Hazelwood. Just like fade to black, nothing. And this, like, there were some innuendos and you knew what was happening, but not that I needed like great detail, but I just didn't like that, I guess, It needed to be more romance. But I liked the overall story. I think the end was obviously a cliffhanger, and I want to read the second book. But I just, I'm trying to decide. This is like incoherent. I apologize. I am trying to decide between a 3.5 and a 4. And I feel like I need to have some reference points as to what 3.5s and what 4s have been recently. Because, yeah, so I'm just looking at the books I've recently finished. Shark Heart was a 4, but I don't think this was as good as Shark Heart. And then what did I give 3.5? A Million to One was a 3.5. But I think that this was better than A Million to One. I don't do the 0.25 stars here. I'm leaning more toward a 4. Because the storytelling was great. I appreciated the storyline and where our characters were going and this whole war. I feel like the war is going to be a much bigger aspect in the second, in Ruthless Vows. But the romance and the dynamic between the characters just like weren't there for me. So there's that. I don't know. I can't decide. I'm leaving it at a 3.5 or a 4 for now. And because I'm lacking some steam in this, I think I'm going to switch gears and start reading A Fate Inked in Blood. I'm about 100 pages into A Fate Inked in Blood, and I'm really enjoying it. There is a lot more action than I thought there would be, like battle scenes, war, raids, fights, a lot of blood and gore, but not gore, just blood. I guess I should have guessed there was blood because there's blood in the title. Duh, smart Becca. We are following Freya. She is married to this horrible man that she does not like, and she is gutting fish with him one day when she sees a beautiful man that she finds very, very attractive in the water, and kind of flirts with him, has some witty banter back and forth with him. And then all of a sudden, how did that happen? I don't know. But this guy named Snorri, I think that's how you say it. I call him Snorri, which sounds like a really weird name. S-N-O-R-R-I, Snorri. He is the leader of some kingdom, some realm. I don't know the correct terms with fantasy, okay? Just, he's a leader. And he decides that why does he decide this? He wants Freya and his son, Bjorn, who she was flirting with, to battle. And he makes it a battle to the death. And Bjorn's like, no, come on, I'm not gonna kill this woman. And he's like, yeah, you are, you gotta do it. So Freya's like, oh crap, I gotta fight this guy until the death. Well, I better give it my best shot. So they fight, and he obviously goes easy on her. But what happens is she evokes the name of Hlyn, which she was granted a drop of blood at birth, Hlyn's blood, which makes her the shield protector, the shield warrior, the shield something. And so she's a very desirable person for people's armies. And so she doesn't end up killing Bjorn, but she reveals this power that she was trying to keep secret for her entire life. So Snorri takes her and is like, I'm gonna have you as a second wife so that I can have control and power over you, and I'll continue to protect your brother just like Varagi, her first husband, did. Anyway, so now she's back at this leader's house. She has married him, and raids happen, stuff is going down, and I'm enjoying it. It's really fun to read. I just want more of the spicy scenes to come, because I assume there will be a relationship between Freya and Bjorn, who is the son of the man she's married to. I'm now a little over 200 pages into A Fate Inked in Blood and still enjoying it. It is full of action, compulsively readable, like something always seems to happen next. And so you want to keep reading to figure out what is going to happen. Freya, our main character, where did I leave off? She had just gotten married to a guy who was going to like protect her family, but she was feeling some feelings for the son of the man she married, Bjorn. And now Bjorn and Freya have to go on this quest to Valhalla, no, not to Valhalla, but like a temple of Valhalla. Again, I don't think I know my fantasy terms well enough to be able to talk about books like this, but they're going to this temple to try to honor the gods, all of the gods. And in order to make it there, they have to go through this creepy cave that's filled with Dorg, D-O-U-R-G, I think. And they're undead. They're like skeletons that are alive. And supposedly anybody who tries to go through this cave never comes out. So there's no stories to tell about what actually happens in the cave. So Bjorn and Freya have to go through this cave to make it to the top of the temple, the mountain, in time to honor the gods. So that was exciting and thrilling because you get to see Bjorn and Freya work together, fight together. Yeah, and so now, I mean, I feel like I'm at a point where I maybe shouldn't say any more plot-wise because it could be spoilery, but it's good. I'm still waiting for the romance. They definitely have tension. Freya has thought multiple times, like, I just want to put my hands on you, but nothing has happened. And I want that to happen so that we can get to a little bit more exciting parts for me. Not that I don't like the fantasy of it. It's good. It's an interesting story, but I want the romantasy. So anyway, it's a beautiful rainy morning, and by beautiful I mean just like beautifully rainy because it's perfect to sit here and read. So I'm gonna sit and read as much as I can. Right, I finished up A Fate Inked in Blood, and my overall feelings are a bit underwhelmed. I went into it really excited. I had seen like all of the Book of the Month Instagram reels. Like the one specifically is where the girl is like this far in and she's at a coffee shop and she's like, oh my gosh, I can't be reading this here. It's way too steamy. I can't handle it. And so I think I was a little bit misled. I thought there was going to be way more steam and romance than there actually was. I feel like there was definitely a buildup between Bjorn and Freya, but nothing happened until like the very end, which was a little underwhelming. Another thing that was kind of just like, I figured out the twist right away. There's a twist at the end that is revealed. The whole time during the book, Freya believes that there is a traitor, and I figured out who it was. I thought it was kind of obvious. Let me know in the comments if you think it was obvious if you've read this book, but yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, I still really enjoyed it. I feel like this was a deeper dive into fantasy than I've done so far. Like Divine Rivals felt very real, like Fourth Wing I could understand because it kind of felt like Harry Potter, but this one had a way different magic system with, especially with Norse gods and such, and so I feel like this was maybe the most fantasy I've read of anything that I've read in the past. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but like I said, underwhelming at the end. I will continue on the series because I want to know what happens with this reveal at the end with who the traitor was. But ultimately, just a bit disappointed. I'm really waffling between a 3.5 and a 4. I can't decide. I think I think I'm gonna put 4 on Goodreads, but then like write a little comment that says leaning more toward a 3.5. And in all of my ratings, I'll give it a 4 because I like to give a book the benefit of the doubt. I can think back on this and know what happened, and the battles were fun, and the tension between Freya and Bjorn was good to get through, but I guess I just wanted more. The other thing that I saw someone comment, I think I was on a sprints with Krista maybe. Yeah, Krista and Sarah were sprinting, and someone mentioned that they didn't like this book because there was cheating going on, which, yes, kind of, but was she really actually married and in a relationship with Snorri, who she's married to, but is the second woman married to Snorri because he's married to Ylva. I'm really great with names. And then Freya falls in love with Snorri's son, Bjorn. So like, is it really cheating when she didn't enter into this marriage willingly? I don't think so, but those are my thoughts. Anyway, enjoyed it enough, but I maybe think what happened at the end needs to be expanded in pretty great depth in the second book. I don't know how many books are going to be in this series, but I look forward to it. And an author I've never tried before, and yeah, I enjoy her writing and overall enjoyed the book. So now I think we are going on to Iron Flame. I am almost halfway through this book, like maybe closer to a third, but still. I'm making huge progress in this, and I didn't think I would, but the audiobook is helping a lot. I don't really know how to talk about this one without giving too much away if you haven't read Fourth Wing, because there's some things that happen in Fourth Wing that lead to what happens in Iron Flame, and so I don't want to give too many spoilers away. But this series follows Violet Sorrengail. She is going to a school called Vescaeth, and she is training to become a dragon rider. And the first book is her first year at that school. It's like a mix between Harry Potter and Divergent and Hunger Games because people are killing each other, and it's just like really fun, exciting. Iron Flame, or Fourth Wing, took the world by storm last year, and then I've heard that Iron Flame is kind of a letdown, which I'm still liking it. This is the second year of Violet's schooling, and I'm enjoying it. There's lots of action, there's great tension between the characters as far as the romance side, and I'm having fun with it. I don't know. I don't get why people are so upset. Probably because I am not the biggest fantasy reader anyway, and so I don't understand maybe the normal pacing of fantasies or series in the fantasy genre, so I'm enjoying it. And I want to keep reading because things are happening, and there's like secrets and things that Violet knows that she's not supposed to know. Yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying my time. I'm gonna keep reading. I finished Iron Flame and I quite enjoyed myself. I get where it maybe wasn't as exciting as the first one, but isn't that to be expected when the first book you are new to the world, learning the characters and the magic and the systems? Like, of course there's always the excitement of the first book. And so the second one maybe is never gonna live up to that, but I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed the relationship between Xaden and Violet still. I think that they are a good combo, and in this one they had to deal with a lot of secret keeping and learning things about each other that they didn't know in the first book, and so that was always interesting and intriguing. And I felt like it was action-packed. There was always something happening. There were these creatures that were attacking that I'm not going to say much about, because if you haven't finished the first book and you haven't read this, I don't want to give too much away, but it was exciting and it left on a cliffhanger just like the first one did. So what did I do? I went and pre-ordered Onyx Storm because I want it, and I want sprayed edges, and I want the fancy copy to come right when the book comes out. So I enjoyed this one. I'm gonna give it 4 stars, which is what I gave Fourth Wing. I enjoyed it the same, I think. Maybe, like I said, a little bit less because it didn't have that first book factor. I don't know, but I still enjoyed my time. I am almost 100 pages into The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I have to look at the title every single time I say it because it's the longest title in all of book history. No, that's not true, but I still can't say it just off the top of my head. Anyway, almost 100 pages in, and I'm having a lot of fun. This is kind of a mix between Twilight and Hunger Games, I feel. It's like a vampire version of Hunger Games. So we are following a young woman named Oriya, and she is a human, but she was adopted by a vampire king and has been raised by him for the last 16 years. Every century there is a game. Why can't I think of what it's called now? It's a game that the goddess of Nyaxia, or the goddess Nyaxia, puts on, and you enter into it, and it's a battle to the death. There are 5 games. You have to win the games and defeat all of the other people who are a part of the games in order to be the sole winner. If you win, you get a wish from the goddess Nyaxia, and you can wish anything you want. Our main character, Oriya, is hoping to become a vampire without having to go through like the turning process of being bitten, or I don't know. They didn't explicitly say what the turning process was, but they did say it often ended in death. So she doesn't want to go through that, and she wants to become a vampire, and a very powerful one, so that she can go back and try to find her human family, if that's possible, if they're still alive. So in the first 50 pages or so, we're just kind of getting Oriya's backstory and some relationship between her and her vampire king father named Vincent. And then she gets into the games, and we have gotten through 1 game so far, and all of the competitors just stay in this moon palace, so they interact with each other but also are supposed to fight each other. So it's a very interesting dynamic, but it's really fun. I'm having fun with it, so I am excited to read more. I'm just about halfway through Serpent and the Wings of Night and still enjoying it. We have gotten through 2 of the games, and Oriya is still fighting. She's kicking. She actually has made a couple of allies. Their names are Rain, who I believe will be our love interest, and his best friend Mish. They're both vampires, and so she is worried becoming allies with them, but she does it because she knows she's going to need to partner up with some other competitors for the Half Moon game, and that's the 3rd game, the midway point of the 5 games. So the first 2 games have gone well for Oriya, except she has come out really hurt and needing time to heal. But in between the games, there are 3 weeks where they can train and prepare for the next game. Her and Rain are getting really, really close because they are training together, and they realize that they can fight really well together. They have kind of this intuition with each other, and feel like they can read each other well during a fight. And so they have some fun with this, but are also training for the next battle. Some things are going on where I feel like there's maybe a rebellion happening. The Moon Palace was under attack, and that's gonna not affect the game whatsoever. I remembered what it's called, the Kajari. That's the game. But the game is still going to continue on, even though the Moon Palace, the place where all of the competitors live, was like burned down, basically. So that's where we're at. I'm hoping to get much further tonight, but we shall see.
It's like, oh man, but it feels so nice.
Yeah. It's beautiful out. Those are called milkweed. And they
Mabel, are you reading?
Pods of milkweed pod.
Are you reading? I'm up to part 6 now in Serpent and the Wings of Night, and Mabel made me take the cover off because she likes the snake on this cover. Here she comes, climbing up the ladder. I'm really loving this. I'm having such a fun time. I love the relationship that has been forming and growing between Rain and Aurea. I feel like they started off as obviously enemies because they are going to kill each other in this battle, the Kajari. But they grew to be allies to prepare for the 3rd game, and they did really great in the 3rd game. And learned each other so well in battle, but also just in life. And when they could have had opportunities to kill each other after the 3rd battle, they didn't. They went into the 4th game, and things got a little heated because we'll just say that Aurea, I don't know how to say it, Aurea and Rain got closer than they've ever been before. And not even intimately, I mean. Anyway, just imagine, vampire human. So they've made it through the 4th game, and now instead of having 3 weeks to get ready for the 5th game, there was a surprise at the end of the 4th game, and it said, the minister said, the new moon trial will not take place in 3 weeks. It will take place tomorrow. Bum, bum, bum. So now we're at the start of part 6, and it is the new moon trial. So I am speeding through this book and loving every minute of it. I finished and I really, really liked it. I'm kind of surprised, actually. I think this might be my favorite of the whole video. It ended with a crazy twist that I did not expect. The game's completed and something crazy happened. It was really, really exciting and fun to read. I think I just flew through the last 100 pages because it was so entertaining. I'm excited to see what happens next. I want to read the next one, which it's something, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, maybe? Another long title, another fantasy title that I'm really bad at remembering, but I'm really looking forward to seeing where Rain and Aurea's story goes next. So yeah, like I said, out of the 4 I read for this video, I think this is the favorite. I might put it at a 4.5, just because I didn't quite understand how humans and vampires lived together. Maybe I missed that part of world building, which I really could have done easily because I'm not the greatest at following all of that, but I just didn't quite understand it. Some other things maybe slipped through. So 4.5 stars for this, and then I think all of the others in this video got 4 stars. So pretty good. So after reading all of these romantasies, I think I have learned that I enjoy my time when I read them, but they're not new favorite books by any means. So going forward, I definitely will read more romantasy, especially ones that have great hype on BookTube and the book world in general. But I will know going in that I probably won't find a new favorite, which is okay. But I still really enjoyed my time with all of them, and know that in the future I will likely have a great groundwork for romantasy, like the terms and how romances kind of work in fantasy books and worlds, and I'll know that I will have a fun time. So Let me know if you have read any of these and what your thoughts were on them. Also, let me know if you have any suggestions for romantasies that I should try. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!